everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today, where today, guys, we have just received some breaking news across many media outlets. Santander and the Blue Jays are close to an agreement, everybody. This is no joke. The Blue Jays are this close. I know we've been here before. I know we've been hurt in the past, but I really do think Santander is a much more realistic option than Soto or Burns or whatever. And we've got the bottle. Nick is pulling it out right now. If he does pop on today's stream, we will be popping the bottle. Let's go, guys. Let's go get it, guys. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. Yeah, man, I'm amped, dude. I just want to get one of these things across the finish line, for crying out loud. Like, at this point, you know, it feels like I'm ready to pop a bottle over Nick frickin' Pivetta, you know, let alone Anthony Santander, who could actually make a series impact on this lineup, on this ball team. We're talking about somebody who hit 44 bombs last year, and not only did he just hit 44 bombs for any team, he hit 44 bombs for a team that we are in direct competition with. So you're literally just stealing away all that production from the Baltimore Orioles. 13 games that he's not over there, and he's over here. So let's get straight into some of these reports, everybody, that just came out, guys.
There's a lot, guys.
Lots of stuff that just broke. Great timing for us, because as you guys know, we're always live at noon on a Friday for our Blue Jays Today show. Just happens to be that 20 minutes ago, Baseball Play, now this is, I'm not actually super familiar with the brand, but very sizable brand that
followed by Hector Gomez.
Apparently knows their stuff. They tweeted this out, and we will need to translate it, unless somebody can translate it for us. But they said Anthony Santander could stay in the American League East, this time in Toronto. Team Canada, a.k.a. the Blue Jays, unless, of course, it's, you know, the Vancouver team or something.
Yeah, right.
In which case, we're just going to fucking blowing headlines with that. That'd be crazy. But Team Canada is close to signing the Venezuelan after several media outlets reported a proposed 4-year contract worth $82 million. The big news there being that we are close to getting this one across the finish line. Are we getting screwed again? Are we getting leveraged again? Or are we actually going to get a deal done, dude?
I don't know. Well, it's hard to speculate. It's hard, very, very hard to speculate, everybody. I mean, look, we could say yes, we could say no, we could say, yeah, he's gonna absolutely come to the Blue Jays 100%. But I'm with a lot of you guys here. I'm not gonna believe it until I see the deal done. And like, there's also other reports coming out here that apparently the Blue Jays are literally 1 year and $20 million away, and Nick actually brought this up on a podcast. Shout out to Ari Pie right now, who's been feeding us all this information on this stream. So Ari, if you're out there, keep sending us some info. Like, they're literally this close. Like, if you add on an extra year and $20 million, you can get it done. Now, will the Blue Jays and Ross Atkins do that? My guess is as good as your guess, but would you do that if you had to put on the GM cap, add on 1 more year and $20 million? So that would bring it up to $102 million for 5 years. Are you doing that for Anthony Santander?
Yeah, I am, man. I think that ultimately, like, that's just the price that you got to pay for somebody that hit 44 bombs last year. And let's not forget either, like, this is somebody that's been good in the past as well. I actually saw a really great tweet. I'll see if I can find it in a second. But it was looking at the last 3 years of Teoscar Hernandez and Anthony Santander. And it was literally, like, equivalent.
Right,
you know, you're talking about two guys that were exactly the same, and Santander being 2 years less. Like, we know what Teo meant for this organization, and we know what it meant when he left this organization. I'm not saying that Santander is immediately going to come in and be that silver slugger and have that camaraderie with Vladdy, but I hope that it's going to be pretty damn close, and that's kind of the next best thing that you can get. The closest comparison that you can get on this free agent market is Anthony Santander. So, absolutely. Lock it in, man. Like $100 million for a guy that could next year hit 40 bombs right behind Guerrero and then inevitably help him out because he's getting protection. Like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, people are also saying, throwing in the suggestion in the chat, make it a player option. Like, if you're that close, if you're nitpicking over 1 year, well, make it a player option. You know, make it a player option so maybe he can leave after some time if he's really bad, and you lower the AAV for that 1 year. Maybe he's like, I'll take it. Fine, that's all right. Then you can get it done. So
Also, here it is right here. If you want to pull it up for the people, it's Scott Blue Jays always. Shout out to you. I'll read it off as you're looking for it right now. But a 2022 to 2024 comparison, right? I think that this is, that's the last 3 years of work from these gentlemen. Anthony Santander has 105 home runs compared to Teo's 84 home runs. He's got 286 RBIs compared to Teo's 269 RBIs, and the OPS is almost identical. I know that Teo's got a higher batting average and the on-base is a little bit better, but at the end of the day, the whole game is about plating runs, and Anthony Santander has plated more runs than Teoscar Hernandez has in the last 3 years. So, I think it's good.
There's arguments to be made there, because like Teo for one of those seasons was on Seattle, but then also one of those seasons he was on the Dodgers, but Santander's always been on that, glorious Oriole lineup that's been so deep. I mean, yeah, they're comparable. You could really pick and choose what kind of play do you want. Do you want more power or do you want more, hitting, more hits? Like you choose. It doesn't whatever way you chalk it up. They're basically the same player, and I would spend $102 million for 5 years. I don't care. My whole thing is like I don't care how many years it really is. If it's going to cost you an extra year of a contract, whatever, so be it. Yes, it's going to cost them another $20 million, but whatever. What you need to do is get some winning happening right now, right? For the points that you brought up, we need someone to protect Guerrero right now. Guerrero might not be here in 2026, but he might if he knows that, hey, last year I had a really good year with, Anthony Santander hitting behind me, and I know he's going to be here for a while. And, hey, maybe we did have some lightning in a bottle, some prospects broke out. It just adds to the fuel to the fire of maybe we get, extension done with Guerrero. It's a domino effect of everything, really.
Yeah, I get it, man. Everything helps, right? Everything really does help. And, I mean, having that stability of, an Anthony Santander in the lineup for the next 5 years, like, that's just, like, one piece of the 9 people in your lineup that you don't have to think about anymore because you know that it's going to be there. Whereas, right now, who is it? Is it Loperfido? Is it, Lucas? Like, who is it? Seriously, I don't know, right? So Santander, yes, I know we can, I guess we can argue, until we're blue in the face about whether this is going to move the needle or not for 2025. But I can surely tell you that it's going to help.
Absolutely. We did get an update again here from Cardinals Live. Shout out again to Ari Ply for sending this over. Basically saying that the conversations right now is between Tigers and Blue Jays for Santander and Tigers and Blue Jays for Bregman. And he basically just reiterates saying the Blue Jays need to bump up the AAV at the current term or add a guaranteed year at the current AAV. So that's what they're saying. So either add a year, make it $102 whatever million, or you give them 4 years, but you bump it up to 90 or 95. I mean, that makes sense. That would get the deal done.
Okay,
right?
Do it.
What are we waiting for?
Like it's on the table, and we've heard time and time again that some offers have been on the table waiting for the Toronto Blue Jays. Like Guerrero, for instance, has kind of given his number. Apparently, if we're to believe that, he's given his number out to the Toronto Blue Jays, and if they were to hit it right now, then he would extend. Now, granted, I have been hearing the numbers like $500 million.
Yeah,
so I can understand why they might not want to do that. But if Santander is $100 million, guys, like let's be completely honest with ourselves right now. Like we don't have anybody like that other than Vladdy on the team.
Right.
Let's freaking get him. Absolute Dan here with the 5-month membership right there. Shout out to you. I read online that the Jays raised their offer for Bregman, $189 million to $196 million for 6 years. Happy New Year, Nick and Adam. Well, if you could please link us to where it was that you read that, man. I'd be interested to see what source is coming out with that. If that is true, I would argue that is getting extremely competitive there because $196 million is right around the range that he'd be looking for if that is to be true.
Well, let's we'll obviously get back to Anthony Santander because this is such a hot topic and things are coming out right now. But let's pivot off that, absolute Dan. Let's talk about that Alex Bregman thing going on because while we're really fixated on Mr. Santander, it appears like the Blue Jays are right there for Alex Bregman, and those conversations weren't happening a whole lot in the beginning of this offseason, but now it feels like it's really starting to pick up. And according to Hector Gomez here, the Astros are the biggest threats to the Blue Jays for Anthony Santander. That's that thing. But, okay, sorry, that's the whole wrong thing. Apologies, guys. I have, COVID right now, and I pulled up the wrong tweet, but this is what we're getting right here. Bregman, from what I understand, this is coming from Evan from he's a Detroit Press article journalist right over there. He from what he understands, Bregman does want to play for the Tigers, but it's still, he reiterates that, the Blue Jays and Angels are the front runners for Santander, and the Santander would be the backup plan for the Tigers if they miss out on Bregman. And I don't have the tweet right here, but the Blue Jays are in on Bregman. They're in around the mix. So it feels like the Tigers, Angels, Astros, and Blue Jays are kind of just circling around like, which one can we grab here? We're grabbing Santander, we're grabbing Bregman. Someone's going to land somebody here.
It's all connected, okay? It's all connected. I know you were jumping around.
I
there,
know,
it's all
my COVID brain. I was like, wait, am I reading right now?
It's all connected, everybody, is what Adam was trying to say right there. All three of these teams are effectively in on two guys. Someone's going to miss out. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to be us, Now, I assume that if we were to get a Santander, for instance, let's say we lock him down, I would imagine, there can be some dreamers out there, but I'd imagine that does take us out of the Alex Bregman sweepstakes.
For sure.
Now, it'd be great if we could do both, but I highly doubt that is the case. And granted, if you were to get an Alex Bregman, it probably takes you out of the Santander sweepstakes, as it would for these other teams as well, the Tigers and the Astros, right? So that's where we're kind of at right now with both of those guys.
I got it right here. This is where it is. Ken Rosenthal has declared that the Blue Jays and Tigers are the front runners for also Alex Bregman. So that's where it is right there. They're the front runners for Alex Bregman. They're the front runners for Anthony Santander. And I know we're always the front runners for somebody. But again, we're coming down to the wire where you're not in the conversation with the New York Yankees or the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Mets. They're all gone now. It's now the Tigers, who you could say like the Blue Jays and Tigers, what's the difference? I guess they went to the playoffs last year. We didn't, but we're still kind of very similar boat right now. Angels, obviously, we're in a very similar boat, similar win totals last year. And then the Astros kind of doing a weird thing where they're taking a step back, going down a tier right now. So someone's going to get somebody. Do you think it's a good sign that we're favorites for both of these guys?
Yeah, of course. I mean, well, it's better than us not being favorites. Now, we could definitely be getting used as leverage again, and we've seen that happen time and time and time again, right? This offseason, last offseason, previous offseasons, fuck it. It's going to happen next offseason too. I can guarantee that it will. It's just the way that things go. So is it possible that we're being used as leverage and Bregman ends up back with the Astros and then Santander ends up with the Tigers? I wouldn't be shocked. But it does feel like this is more within our range of outcomes. You go back to your expectations at the beginning of this offseason. I never really truly expected that we'd end up with Juan Soto. I never really truly expected that we'd end up with Corbin Burns. I did think that there was a chance that we could get an Anthony Santander, and I did think, even though I think he'd cost a lot of money, a chance that we get an Alex Bregman, because I know how much Ross Atkins loves his infield, loves his defensive first, veteran type of guy. It's Matt Chapman 2.0, folks. Right. He just gets on base more and hits less home runs. Like, that's what it is. So, of course, Ross Atkins is going to be interested. So, when I tie it all together with everything like that, the story tracks, the story makes sense, and I could actually see the Toronto Blue Jays crossing the finish line with either one of these individuals.
One of them. Two ain't realistic, but one is good enough. Shout out to Robbie Hyde with the $2 super chat saying, announce Bregman to the Red Sox.
Damn.
That's the one team we didn't bring up, Robbie, but I haven't seen you on Twitter and talking about it. And there are some links over there for Red Sox and Alex Bregman. Do you really think that's what do you think of that possibility? Because you also got Rafael Devers there. I know people are talking about like moving Rafi over to first or moving Bregman over to second. I mean, for them, like whatever, just get the best bat.
Pull up the tweet that you just had right there. Ken Rosenthal was saying that he thinks that the Red Sox are the best fit,
which is weird.
I get it. I do get it.
Like, it's obviously it depends on what you think is the best fit. It's the best fit if it makes the biggest impact, I guess, to an overall team. But like, also, Alex Bregman's a Gold Glove third baseman, and you got to kind of have some moving around. Whereas I would argue the Blue Jays and the Tigers might be the best fits because they need good third basemen, and you already have a superstar third baseman locked up. Yes, I know you can move him around, but it's an easier plug and play thing for me.
I have heard that Rafi wants to stay at third base. I'm sure Robbie could speak more on that than we could, but I did actually hear that from one of the insiders. Granted, I mean, Alex Bregman, I think, plays a better bag over there than Devers does. ultimately, like, I get the fit. It does make sense. Boston Red Sox, I mean, they're definitely going out and they're getting guys, but they're getting a kind of blue-balled similar to us. Not quite as bad, but, you know, they were kind of blue. They were definitely blue-balled on the Juan Soto stuff. I mean, you can get into all that, and they've been blue-balled a couple more times.
Right,
I mean, like, I hope for your sake, Robbie, you do end up with one of these big guys, but I hope for our sake, you don't, because we're kind of screwed if you do. But thank you so much for donating, guys. If you haven't already done so, go subscribe over to Robbie Hyde's channel. He has incredible, just general baseball content, covers everything free agency. He does cover Boston Red Sox, covers contracts, teams, ranking videos. He does some great stuff over there. So go follow him on Twitter. Go follow him on YouTube. Everybody, what'd you just find?
I mean, it's nothing really crazy, and people are always people have been saying all chat to like shout out Cardinals Live. Honestly, I've seen Cardinals Live here and there, but this is kind of the first time really diving into them. If someone's filling me in on like what exactly they do, they're a podcast, I'm assuming.
Cardinals
right?
Live, is this St. Louis Cardinals?
St. Louis Cardinals, yeah, it would be.
Why are we believing the St. Louis
I don't know, but this one's for fun, and they've got a little prediction. They would say that maybe Bregman goes to the Tigers for 6 years, $226 million. Holy crap, that'd be a lot of money in a short amount of years. Santander 4 for 93. I'd smash that in a heartbeat.
I'd smash it, yeah.
Alonso the Mets for 4 for 120. That feels right. And then just Arenado the Red Sox. There you go, Robbie. If you're still in the chat,
take Arenado.
Arenado.
There you go. He'd be pretty good over there. Shout out to Danielle Castro, who's been a member for 17 months. Literally a year and a half right there. Happy New Year, Nick and Adam. I just have a bad feeling that Ross could be done with the offseason. I hope that you're wrong. I saw that there was some stuff going on Twitter yesterday that, you know, he's on a boat or something.
Like daughter or sister or
something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, listen, I'm not going to get on him for that. Like, you know, it's the holiday season. Everybody's with their family. I just hope that, you know, the boat was, you know, during winter break, and now we're back to work in the new year, Ross.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're going after these free agents, and we're ready to get them across the finish line.
Well, apparently we are having discussions, so there you go. He's back to work.
He's back to work.
Whether it be him or somebody else, I don't really know.
Yes, exactly, right. So I hope that you're wrong right there, Daniela, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, we have felt this pain many times before. Robbie Hyde saying, I honestly think Arenado is very realistic. Dude, I don't hate Arenado at all. I know that, you know, there's definitely some question marks around the offensive output that he could have in the coming years, but we know that at his floor, defensively speaking, the guy is, you know, going to be up there for Gold Glove, Platinum Glove, and honestly, like, I wouldn't be shocked at all if it changes scenery with a guy like that. Like, you know, you want to talk about kind of a cancer in the clubhouse. I mean, over there in the Cardinals land, like, I wouldn't be shocked at all if him and Goldschmidt have kind of like renaissance seasons.
Right.
You know, if he was to go over to Boston and Goldschmidt goes over to New York, you know, I feel like there was some bad vibes over there in St. Louis, so a change of scenery would do that guy some good.
And I think the Red Sox have some prospects that they can ship off, you know, like, whereas, you know, for example, the Blue Jays or Tigers, I think they're more.
We don't got shit.
You don't got anything. Well, Tigers do have a decent amount, but I think they want to keep them more so. And I honestly don't think Arenado doesn't put the Tigers over the edge. I think Arenado puts the Red Sox over the edge.
It could,
I
yeah.
think so.
Definitely could.
Shout out to Absolute Dan saying, Nick and I might reply to your tweet with the link about Bregman
I'll
offer
take a look
raise.
at that. Yeah, I'll take a look at that, man. Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll pull that up on the stream as soon as possible. Which, let me know which tweet that is, and I can.
I'll see if I can find it. Thank you very much for the donation, everybody. If you had to choose Bregman or Santander, where are you at?
Oh, that's a tough one, actually. That's a tough one. I mean,
let's assume that
they're very similar. I think Bregman right now is a better player because the defense and the offense is still good. Probably Bregman. Probably Bregman. I mean, that's why he's getting paid more money. You know?
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I don't know if this changes anything for you, but I was gonna say, like, just an assumption, Bregman is 6 years, $200 million, and Santander is, you know, 5 years, $100 million.
Wait, Santander 5 years, $100 million.
100, Bregman 6, $200 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my money, but I'd prefer Bregman.
Right?
You know?
Yeah,
I'd prefer him.
Yeah, it's true. Like, if it's not your money, and like assuming it doesn't actually impact like anything moving forward, it's like, all right, you know, like if you can still get Guerrero. I assume the assumption should be that regardless of who you sign out of these guys, Guerrero is still very much on the table. Like that shouldn't be taken out of the mix here. You know, so like as long as that's the case, like.
Yeah.
probably Bregman as well.
You're probably Bregman. I think Bregman offers more attractiveness to free agents as well. And people are saying that like Bregman is older. I think he's only 1 year older.
I think he's 1 year
Actually,
older.
I think he's literally like not even a year. He's like less than a year.
Same year, but just like born earlier.
Literally, he's 200 days older than him, guys. So, like, there's not much of a difference right here.
Yeah,
know, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So, honestly, like, I could see the argument for both of them. Like, if Santander had the same type of offensive output as last year, you could definitely convince me in that regard. Because, like, if I'm being completely honest and transparent, like, what do we need? Do we need more defense? No, we need home runs. So, I mean, like, if that does happen, then I'm probably Santander. But it is really, really close, everybody. Maybe I'll put a poll in the chat and you guys can vote. We'll let it go for a little bit here.
Yeah, like, I think Santander has a higher upside for just like give me the biggest, pack for your punch, in 1 year with the home runs. But I think Bregman might have a better longevity, if that makes any sense for everybody. Plus, I mean, man, can you imagine an infield with Alex Bregman, Bo Bichette, Andres Hernandez, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Like, actually in a vacuum, think about that.
We would become the Chicago Bulls of Team Gold Gloves.
Yeah, literally.
Like, it's our New England Patriot, whatever dynasty you want to come up with, that's us for Team Gold Gloves.
Gold Glove second baseman, Gold Glove first baseman, Gold Glove third baseman, Gold Glove center fielder, and like Gold Glove finalist right fielder George Springer, and then Alejandro Kirk catcher. Yeah. Like that's pretty dominant.
No, man, like we're winning, like we're going on like a 10-year run of like Gold Glove, Team Gold Glove wins.
Oh
so
my God,
it would be wild.
We'll have a team batting average in 2028 of like 220.
Oh yeah,
like,
we're not hitting for shit, man.
Yeah, our Gold Gloves, man.
Unless you hit it 500 feet, it's an out.
Right. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's what that team does. 500 people in here right now, guys. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like, smash that subscribe button. Let's just flash over once again to the report whilst all these other people are joining right now to show you guys what it is that we're talking about. Baseball Playing, a couple other sites as well came out with this, just saying that Toronto is getting very close right now to signing Anthony Santander. There was also another one that was talking about how the talks have really been heating up ever since that report of the 4-year, $82 million offer was revealed. The talks are really starting to get going. So it feels like, I mean, I know that this is a triggering word for all of you, but we are not only just favorites, but heavy favorites right now at this point to get it across the finish line.
And not only heavy favorites for Santander, but finalists for Alex Bregman, and we're going to get one or the other. I will say this. If we miss out on Anthony Santander, I have a feeling. Well, here's the thing. If we miss out on Anthony Santander, the reports are, well, if he goes over to the Tigers, well, then Bregman's like kind of next choice would be the Blue, not next choice, excuse me, but he'd have to pivot off that, and the Blue Jays might be uber aggressive right there, and we could land him.
I have a better feeling about Santander than I do about Bregman. I don't know why that is. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Bregman is so used to winning that like he's not gonna want to. I don't know what it is, but
like you could make this argument. I mean, we do have George Springer. George Springer's over here, Loperfido, Bloss. There's some Houston connections we have over here.
I hear that. I definitely hear that, man. It just feels to me like I don't know. I don't know why. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I think that we have a better shot at getting Santander.
No, I agree.
Than Bregman.
I absolutely agree. Now, I will say I think that shot increases because Bregman wants to play in Detroit with AJ Hinch, his former manager. But if the Tigers go out and they get Santander and then they're out on Bregman, well, then where does Bregman go? Does he go back to Astros?
I think he goes back to Houston, honestly. I think he goes back to Houston.
I don't know. We'll see, because it'd either be that, us that are willing to offer the money, maybe, because apparently we got a report right here. We're going to talk about it. And then I think that's it, right? Oh, then it'd be the Red Sox, which is kind of being speculated on. But apparently, yeah, we did get the article right here. Thank you, Ari Pine. Thank you, Absolute Dan. Where is this from? Fox Sports' Rowan Canver predicted.
The Blue Jays are going to win this week.
Okay, so they didn't. So yeah, you got to be careful. Some articles out there have some very clickbaity stuff right now, and we even tricked a lot trying to look at them, but they actually didn't offer anything. They've been predicted that they offered 196. That's not a actual thing, but we appreciate that. We keep sending that stuff in there, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, also, I do see people saying that we were heavy favorites for Corbin Burns, everything like listen, I get it. It's very triggering, folks. It's very, very triggering to hear those words. We have to get one of these things across the finish line, right? You got to imagine, you take 100 shots, like, but one of them's bound to go in, right? Like, that's you could be the shittiest shooter in the world, but one of them is bound to go in if you take 100 shots. And the Blue Jays have been taking a lot of different shots this offseason, past offseason. So, I mean, I feel good about getting something done.
Right. No, and I think this is the difference maker for me. Who's our competition for Corbin Burns? It was a exciting hometown team of San Francisco Giants, and then we didn't even know that there was an Arizona Diamondbacks mystery team right here in the mix. I mean, the reports were always Giants, Blue Jays, and XY mystery teams.
Yeah.
So we could have factored that in, but right here, all we're hearing is Tigers, Blue Jays, maybe Angels, maybe Astros. So with that being said, I think we have a better chance. Not saying it's guaranteed, but I think we do have a better chance.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's tough to go up against the New York Mets and the Dodgers and all those other squads and then try to convince these big-time free agents that a 74-win team is the place to be, right? But when you are matched up against the Tigers, who, had kind of a historic moment there, but don't know what their future's going to look like. I think that your argument becomes a little bit stronger anyways, at least for right now. So that is where we're at currently. I'm checking Twitter and refreshing for stuff right now. If you guys see anything, please let us know. Let's give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, though, before we continue. Whoa, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Head your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below to join the action. Only available in Ontario. Must be 19 years of older to participate. Please play responsibly. Now, everyone, back to the content. Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal and for sponsoring Blue Jays today. We appreciate them. Couldn't be here without them. You got the Bengals, you got the Steelers line. There is no baseball lines, obviously, right now, but there is some Saturday football tomorrow. Kind of an important and decisive game right here for both squads. Now, it kind of sucks that they're playing this one second, because if the Ravens win, the Steelers don't have that much to play for anymore.
Right. Which
and the
they
Ravens
probably
are
will
gonna win.
Yeah.
So...
the odds even changed. Like, it went from 10 multiplier, now it's 13 multiplier for the Browns to win.
Oh, I know. It's like I've seen them at -20 right now. It's like the spread is insane, right? So there was some speculation that the Steelers could sit some of their guys, but it's also Tomlin. I don't really see that happening, to be completely honest.
They're going to try and win every game.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one regardless. You guys let us know in the chat who you have. Who do you have, Adam, before we continue with the baseball news?
I honestly kind of like Steelers at home plus 2.5. Like, I know the Bengals are really hot right now, but they almost got beat by the Broncos, and I can make an argument that I think that was at their home. I can make an argument that I think the Steelers, pound for pound, are a little bit better than the Broncos. And again, there is that factor. Maybe they sit some guys, but that's why I like the spread of 2.5. It's even right now. It's 1.9 multiplier. That's where I'd be sitting right now.
Yeah, I do get it, man. And honestly, the Steelers had a really tough gauntlet of a schedule in 10 days. They've had some rest. Ultimately, one of these teams is a playoff team. One of them isn't. One of them's at home. One of them isn't. I'm probably going Steelers as well in this matchup. Just honestly, the money line might even be good.
The money line is good,
take some profit there on a playoff team winning a game against a non-playoff team. But that's where we're at right now with the Saturday football, guys. You let us know in the comments down below who you're rocking with. There was also some over-unders with the Toronto Blue Jays. It's currently at 76.5. Are you going over? Are you going under? Let's transition and talk a little bit about Alek Manoah and what is happening with him right now. I know a lot of you could probably forgot that is even a player on our team, but that was a guy back in the day who we thought could win Cy Young at one point. Now he is recovering. However, he's feeling pretty good about his recovery.
Yeah, I mean, he's been striving, making some strides. 7 months into his recovery, it's been right now. Can you believe it, right? Time flies. But he spoke on Mike Wilner's podcast, Deep Left Field. Shout out to Mike Wilner. About his plans on returning to the Blue Jays rotation. And basically, he just wants to help for the last 2 months of the season. I think that was kind of the prediction after he got Tommy John, that he might be back for the next 2 months. So how it would kind of go, he gets bullpens going in March, live batting practices in June, and he says, and then get some rehabs going, hopefully be in a position to help this team down the stretch. Now, I love his optimism. You know, Alek Manoah has always been optimistic. If the Blue Jays are sellers, then there probably will be a spot in the rotation for him. You got to imagine Chris Bassett, maybe even Kevin Gausman is gone at this point, and there will be a spot in the rotation for Alek Manoah to come pitch down the stretch. And that will be kind of just less of helping the team win and more of just, let's see what you got, kid. Let's get ready for next year. But if there is a reality where, I don't know, the slimmest reality, I'm talking like 8% at this point, where the Blue Jays are somehow in a, position where they could be competitive for a wild card spot, a last wild card spot, then always adding a 6th man to a rotation is huge. And hell, even if there's an injury, adding a 5th man to a rotation is huge. I'm not saying he's going to be great, but I think about Hyun-Jin Ryu a couple years ago where he recovered from Tommy John. He came back and was one of the best pitchers in the Blue Jays down the stretch. If Alek Manoah can provide that, then that would be helpful. So I am always in the optimistic camp for Alek Manoah because last year we got a sprinkle of what could have been of a good offseason and good recovery. But he's got to be healthy going into next year, and I'm hoping he gives us some innings. That's it.
No, I get it, man. Quick shout out here to Jennifer with the $279
Whoa, time for a
dono
quick
there.
shout out
We
to the sponsor
appreciate
of
you.
this
And
video.
shout out to
Appreciate
Betway
Betway.
once again, and we appreciate the 500 people in here. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, guys. We're trying to get up to 30,000 subscribers. We've been trying to get up to 30,000 subscribers. So if you're new here or you've been watching for a while and haven't clicked the button, I assure you we do not miss any of them, and we really do appreciate it when you do that. To finish off those Alek Manoah talks right there, he also came out, I know we don't have it there, but he was talking about how he thinks that his arm slot, his arm release, everything like that is back to where he was in college and in 21 and 22, which is a good place to be because in 23 and 24 it was a lot different, and the results indicated that. So I'm just hoping that there is some level of competitiveness from the team next year, and then when he does come back, it actually means something. Because like I saw some memes of people tweeting it out, being like, Alek Manoah when he comes back, and him walking into like an empty room and like looking around and like, wait, where is everybody? Because at that point he's gonna come back after the trade deadline, right?
Yeah.
And, it would suck if like we trade everyone away and it's like, oh hey Alek, like come pitch the last 2 months of garbage with us, and it doesn't even matter, right? So I do hope that there is a level of competitiveness. I think everybody hopes that, but that the games actually mean something when it is finally time for him to return. You know what?
I wasn't even planning on bringing this up, but you brought up an interesting conversation right there. Who are the Blue Jays trade pieces next year? No,
shout out and thank you to the person that just subscribed. W's in the chat, guys. We appreciate you.
Like, obviously, we know about the whole Bo and Vlad thing, but like, let's take a little gander at what could be a potential trade piece for the Blue Jays next season, guys. I mean, Bo, Vlad, Chris Bassett is a guy. Chad Green on his last bit of a deal. Eric Swanson, if he starts performing well. Like, there could be some major guys going at the deadline that could, require a big haul.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. If the Jays do end up in a situation where they have to sell or where they're feeling like selling's the best option, I would imagine that, the haul that we got last year, you can triple it. Right. We're going to be getting a lot more high caliber prospects coming in. And the team did pretty good last year at restocking the farm system. But assuming that, Bo gets back to being half of what he was a couple of years ago, which I think is going to happen, and assuming Guerrero doesn't fall off a cliff and keeps performing at his level, like those two guys alone are going to command so many different prospects. And then, if Chris Bassett is just serviceable, if Chad Green is serviceable, if Swanson's serviceable, then you start to enter into the conversation, well, do you move back or Kevin Gausman, right? Because he'd have one more year after this. So, I mean, if you actually end up trading Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I think that the floodgates are open for anyone. Yeah. And I actually don't think it matters what the deal is, unless they're on like a rookie deal or something like that. But, if you're on the team, you could go if Guerrero gets traded, because then the mentality is shifted and now it is like completely tearing it all down, basically.
Yeah, because if you look at like looking back at the roster right here, going into 2025, look at all the pre-ARB guys we have. Like there's a countless amount of pre-ARB guys. The only guys on ARB, like we used to have like a ton of guys on ARB and pre-ARB when we first were coming up. Now we're starting to cycle back into that whole arbitration, era right now. And the only guys that are actually on contract in 2025 are 5 guys up there, 6, 7, 8, 9 right here, and you're about to get rid of 4 of them. for the next season. Like it is really like that. When we talk about closing a window, this is what we're talking about. And this new window over here is opening up. Look how many pre-ARB 2 guys we have going into next offseason. That's the majority of contracts. We have more ARB 2 guys than any other type of contract. That's how young we are, and that's why we have a lot of question marks coming into this year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are being thrust into some starting roles. Quick shout out here to Jesse, man. We've met this guy before.
Yeah.
Great individual, dude. He's saying, why do I see the Jays signing Santander, Rizzo, and Verlander? What do you think of this? I think you see them doing that because you're a realist, Jesse. You see the reality of what this team is and what this management likes. Now, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think Verlander is something that they're going to go after. I know that they've been saying that they want a pitcher, but, I mean, shit, like, I think even he's a little bit too old for Ross, you know? Rizzo, on the other hand, though, I mean, arguments can be made about, well, we already got a first baseman, and, you know, like, we don't need more. Doesn't matter, because, you know, we've been known to go out and to target some veteran DH type of presences. That is exactly what Anthony Rizzo provides. Was he good last year? No. Does it matter to Ross Atkins? No.
Oh, man.
So I could definitely see Rizzo coming here. I don't think Verlander, though.
God, I could not get behind an Anthony Rizzo signing.
No, I couldn't get behind it. I could just see it happening.
Because, like, I know, but, like, it just doesn't, like, I could see when Ross Atkins makes moves, as much as I disagree with them, I understand the thinking behind it. Like, I think back to Justin Turner. Okay, you know, he had a good year in Boston. Let's get one. We had nobody left on the free agent market.
Yeah,
he was honestly the one little maybe hidden gem of it all. It didn't work, you know, but whatever. Even like the whole Kevin Kiermaier, I get it. He had a good year in 2023. You're like, okay, bring this guy back, play some center field, eat up some innings. I get it. Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Because again,
sense,
to your point, we already have a first baseman. Like, what are we doing? You like to cycle in the DH spot a lot. He was terrible.
You know what doesn't make any sense to me at all, man? Can you bring this guy up? This makes zero sense to me. And this isn't just a Ross Atkins thing. This isn't everybody's thing. But I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know why I was thinking about him, but Brandon Belt, right? So you bring in Justin Turner last year, and he was fine for the little time that we had him. But Brandon Belt, when he was with the Toronto Blue Jays, had an 858 OPS and was quite literally the best hitter that we had on the team.
Yeah.
And not only did we not offer him anything, we gave Justin Turner, who had a some significantly lesser year than Brandon Belt, more money, and who was older than Brandon Belt, by the way. We gave him money, and not a single other team in the league offered Brandon Belt a contract at least worthy of him coming back to baseball.
Not even 1 year? Like, so yeah, looking at Justin Turner, like,
that's what I mean. It actually made no sense to me. Like, what is the thing that we're not seeing here that, like, every other MLB team saw, that, like, we're just, you know what I mean?
I mean,
because I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, this is good, you know?
He seemed like a really good guy, too. Remember the whole MVP stuff that was going on around him? Like, he seemed pretty funny and chill guy.
Like, I could understand if he was a dick or something.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to there. It's like,
I don't think he was.
No, so, that doesn't make any sense. You're right. And I think even I remember articles coming out of him talking about him not getting an offer. He was like, I'm also confused.
Yeah.
Like, I played myself into at least one more year.
Yes.
And that was silly.
No, it just made absolutely no sense at all.
So. Yo, also, fun fact, I just realized this, he's born on 420. Shout out. That's wow, I can't believe it. What a meme of a guy and a meme of a birthday.
And we let that guy walk for nothing. Can you believe it, everybody?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Just a ridiculous thing right there, everybody. Let's get to a couple of your questions right now, guys, while we're waiting for some Anthony Santander news, if some breaks. We asked you guys to submit your questions to the mailbag. So many of you had, and we appreciate every single one of you guys that have done so far. If you haven't already, the link to do so is in the description. We're slowly getting through all of yours, guys, while we make it up to the season. If you've already asked one and we've missed it and you want to ask another one, then go ahead and do it, because things freaking change. We got one in here from Alex saying, why are the Jays scared to clean house? Great question, Alex. A phenomenal one. I'll let you start, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, because you'd think, looking at this team, if you were playing, out of the park baseball or MLB The Show, you're like, well, clearly this team needs to rebuild. Let's just clean house and let's start it all over and we can get back to winning even faster. However, That doesn't happen in real life because you got people in the uppers. I'm talking about front office. I'm talking about Rogers Communication. Where they got to make some money this year, and they spent, and I always come back to this, they spent $400 million on Rogers Center renovations. That money has to be supplemented. You got to get that money back. You have to get a return on investment, and the investment is the team. If you start selling, everyone knows the ticket sales are going to drop off. Everybody knows that. So I think they're trying to convince themselves, trying to convince the fan base that there is going to be a competitive year in 2025, and we are going to be very exciting to watch. And so that's why they're not necessarily scared they're scared to clean house because they don't want to lose the money. That's basically the answer to your question. They want to make sure they keep a winning team on the field so they can hopefully generate something. It's better than generating nothing if you clean house.
I get that. Quick shout out here to Chris with the $9.99 donation, saying 500 plus people in the chat and less than 100 likes.
Whoa.
That's less than a 20%. Chat, we're holding the L. Hit that like button if you're an Atkins/the Pyro supporter. Damn, dude. Chris coming for everyone's necks right there. W's in the chat for Chris. Well said. Thank you for the donation, man. If you guys haven't already done so, hit that like button for Chris for a $9.99 dono. Appreciate you.
I love that. I'm going to start using that line. If you don't hit that like button, you support Atkins and
Damn right.
Pyro.
Damn
like,
right.
God.
Yeah.
No, God, no.
I mean, to go back to that quick question there from who asked it? Alex. Actually, I do think that they're scared to do it, and I think it's just like they don't want to admit that it is time to move on. I get it. That'd be a lot of changes. That would be a lot of different things that are getting torn down, and I just don't think that they have the balls willing to do that. I think that there are concerns about money. I think that there's a bunch of stuff, but ultimately it comes down to the fact that they just don't have the balls to get it done, right? You talk to anybody that knows ball. We had Joe Siddle on here. He said, well, what's the best thing for the team moving forward? It was to tear it all down last year.
Yeah.
They weren't willing to do it because they are too scared. So
yeah, because they don't want to look bad. They don't want to lose money. They don't want to look like a bad management.
Of everything. But yeah, like, why are they so scared? Because they are.
They got egos.
They're not very good at doing their job is kind of the true answer to all of it.
Yeah, they just want to convince. We all know they're out the door either this year or next year. They're out the door. That's when their contract ends. So they gotta keep working. So they gotta prove that this is gonna work. Like how they get hired. How they get hired back in the Blue Jays is if they go on and they have a successful year this year in the standings, or they make some big moves and they prove that they can still pull the team out of the dumps and have like some sort of a serviceable roster. Like they can do that. So that's how they get that's how they get a job.
Sports is very, very easy. If you win, you get money and
Correct.
You get your job. If you lose, it doesn't matter what you do. You just don't, right? Like
that's it.
If you're losing, you're out. If you're winning, you're in. That's it. That's
all
it comes down to, guys. So, yeah, they're losing, and hopefully they are out if they keep losing. Another question in here from Lowe saying, do you guys still believe in Tiedemann being an impact player anywhere down the road, or is this another Nate Pearson situation? Great question. I'm going to kind of plead the fifth on this one a little bit because, I just don't have the information, readily available to give you an accurate answer on this. I got to talk to him. I got to see him throwing. I got to see the rehab. Obviously, the stuff was there and the talent was there when he was fully healthy. Now he's not fully healthy, and you've entered into a whole other, ballpark in terms of being a professional sports player. Right now, you got to rehab from the injury. You got to condition yourself, and, you got to go through this whole ordeal of getting back. And then also, on top of all of that, then, getting back to being good at baseball when it's time to do all that. So I hope that he's got something left in the tank. He'll certainly get an opportunity. But, yeah, of course, there's a lot of Nate Pearson comparisons being thrown around.
I think there's reason for Nate Pearson comparisons because of the injuries and our history as a Blue Jays organization with not handling these young flamethrowers well. What's the common thread here? Nate Pearson and Tiedemann both have significant injuries year after year after year because why? And again, I don't know that information. There's people who get paid a lot more money that know that information on why, but whatever they're doing, it's not working. So I think it's less about Ricky Tiedemann. I'm more worried about the people that are, getting him up to speed to the big league level. I look at other organizations. Look at Paul Skeens. Maybe he's a different animal. Maybe he's a whole different player. But there's many other organizations that bring up flamethrowers, and they're fine. Why is it that the Blue Jays keep running into this issue So yeah, not a Tiedemann thing, but I would be worried it would be a Nate Pearson situation again if we're doing the same thing over and over again with developing these young arms.
Yeah, it's always going to be a tough one handling kids like this, especially when they're, thrust in the spotlight so early. I think the best thing for Ricky Tiedemann, and the best thing that you guys can do as well, forget him. Forget that he exists for right now.
Yeah.
And then when he does come back, we support him. We hope for the best. But, it's actually like, don't apply any pressure to the kid right now and, kind of race him back or anything like that.
We have a rotation.
Stuff. We got a rotation. We don't really need him right this second anyways. Like, it'd obviously be nice, but, we don't need him, especially with the Bowden breakout and everything like that. So just let him rehab, and we're going to hope. That's all it is.
That Bowden breakout's actually so clutch.
It is clutch.
With the combination of Manoah also just falling off base, or same argument you can make about Manoah, just forget about him until he comes back.
Yep.
With those two guys on the shelf, like, that guy's huge. That guy has been a huge help in this rotation, and I can't wait to watch him next year. That's one of my, if I had to, make a list of guys I'm very excited about, it's him, because I want to see a full season of Bowden Francis. Maybe you could toss Will Wagner on it, but there's a very small list of guys I'm very excited about. He's probably number one.
I would argue that Bowden Francis is the most exciting Toronto Blue Jay player right now, because he's the one guy where it feels like the ceiling is almost uncapped. Like, even with somebody like a Guerrero, I think we've seen the ceiling. Right. And I think the ceiling was 2021.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it's hard to get better than that, right? And I don't know if he's ever going to get back to that place. I hope that he does, but we've kind of seen that, and I think that we've seen pretty much everything that Bo Bichette has to offer at this point at the major league level, at least with our team anyways. Maybe it goes to the Dodgers and, as the fucking next Mookie Betts or something like that. I don't know. But with a Bowden Francis, it does feel like we haven't seen the ceiling yet, and it genuinely could be like top 3 pitcher in the American League, if it all works out well.
You never know. Maybe I'll double down on my Cy Young. What do I say? He's top 10 Cy Young finalists?
I think that's what you said, yeah.
Maybe I'll double down.
Maybe you were a year early.
I was a year early, guys. Maybe I'll double down again this time. Now, we got one more question here, and we kind of answered it a little bit earlier, but I like the second part of this just so we can talk about this again and set ourselves some realistic expectations. This one comes in from Gavin saying, what free agents would you like to sign between Bregman, Santander, Alonso, and Profar? So we have 4 options there, but I like this part. Is 2 free agents realistic to get? Now, 2 of these guys, I'm going to say it right now, no. I mean, no, there's, again, still too many teams out there that are fighting for these guys and that they're willing to offer top dollar. But once we get one of them, are we willing to beat another team's top dollar offer? I don't know, especially this organization. I don't think so. But maybe we get a secondary, cheaper guy that's not one of these 4 kind of players. What are your thoughts on this, Nick? Which one's... Oh, yeah, my favorite... that's a good question. Maybe, honestly, probably like a Pete Alonso. Probably Pete Alonso for the power and just the short impact that we'd have.
I've been pretty outspoken about Pete Alonso and wanting that guy to join the team and everything like that. I actually kind of forgot that Profar was even available. Right? It feels like no one's talking about him. Yeah. Maybe that's a good thing because that means that the market isn't really there and you can get him at a discount, right? Yeah. Because that was the whole thing. He had his best year ever last year by a wide margin. The guy was phenomenal, but do you really want to sign him to like a 4 or 5 year deal or anything like that after one good season? I don't know. So potentially MLB teams are kind of seeing through that right now, and the value's starting to go down. So yeah, I'd say that Pete Alonso would be my favorite right there. Out of those 4 guys, feels very unlikely that we'd be able to get more than one of them, if any of them. But I would hope that they get Santander. Let's say that they do. They lock down Santander, and then you still do go out and get Nick Pivetta or another bullpen arm. Or, maybe
we still need a bullpen.
Listen, it's one thing. God. It really is one thing at a time here, man. But genuinely signing Santander would feel like winning the fucking World Series at this point. Just get someone across the finish line. Quick shout out here to Jordan Keats with the $10 donation.
Let's go.
Saying, F it, turn off the budget and sign everybody good that's still available. Maybe we can turn this thing around still. If we don't, do we trade away Vlad and Bo? Personally, I don't like that idea. Love from YT. I agree with pretty much everything that you just said right there. I think that with the Vlad and with the Bo stuff, we've kind of been through this like time and time and time again. But ultimately, try to have as much of your extension talks as you can this offseason. If you've exhausted those extension talks and you've reached your limit and he won't go down any further, then I think that you start to think about it. And if somebody calls you up and is offering their top 3 prospects in their system, then maybe you do it. But probably the way to go about this is if you're actually serious about being competitive next year, and we, with what we've seen so far, we don't know if they are or aren't with this offseason. But if you're actually serious about it, then you wait until trade deadline and kind of see where you're at that point.
Yeah, and I love your first part. F it, turn off the budget and sign everyone that's still good available. Maybe we can turn it still around. I think if you turn off the budget and you sign anyone available right now, you are competitive. If you got Bregman, if you got Santander, you got Jack Flaherty, and then just for shits, I can't even get Alonso at this point. I guess you could if you just made him a permanent DH. And you got Alonso, I'm all the way bought back in. Our lineup is completely changed. Our rotation is stacked. Oh, and then you go and get the top closer. Maybe get Tanner Scott too. Done. We're back. There's nothing that would convince me otherwise.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, completely agree, man. I think that is where we're going to call it for this one, everybody. But if news does break moving forward, you know that we're going to be right back here, everybody. Probably going to have to leave the set up in case the Toronto Blue Jays can actually get this one across the finish line.
Let's go.
We can pop that freaking bottle, folks. One step at a time. Anthony Santander, the first step on the road back to the playoffs, baby.
Oh, don't even.
2025, different year.
No, I can't even. I know you're just hyping up the chat right now, but man, I can't even. Man, the first step back to 500. Can we get to 500?
Can we get to 80 wins? I'll take 80 wins.
80
man.
wins, 81. We'll see. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in on this unexpected, blow up stream on a Friday. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today, as we will be covering all of your Blue Jays news and content right here, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and as always,
go Jays, go!